A death row inmate in Alabama is expected to become the first person in the United States to be executed by nitrogen gas. Kenneth Smith was convicted for the 1988 killing of a woman in a murder for hire plot. Alabama first tried to execute Smith in 2022 by lethal injection, but they could not raise a vein before the state's death warrant expired. The state has until 7 a.m. tomorrow to carry out the nitrogen gas execution after Smith's lawyers lost last-minute appeals. Now, breathing pure nitrogen without oxygen causes the cells to break down and leads to death. Opponents say it's cruel and an unusual punishment and could cause unnecessary suffering. Joining me now is Dana Floberg, the Director of Corporate Campaigns at Worth Rises, a nonprofit advocacy organization dedicated to dismantling the prison industry and ending the exploitation of those targeted. Dana, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk about the execution that is supposed to happen today. Your thoughts on it?
We were horrified to hear when Alabama was initially planning to experiment with nitrogen suffocation as a method of execution, not least because the state has actually outlawed nitrogen suffocation for animal euthanasia. Many corporations already have pulled out, said they do not want to be associated with this. We have had so many people making their voices heard and saying that they do not wish for this execution to move forward, that this is not what real justice or real accountability looks like. And we're deeply disappointed to see that the state plans to move forward with this and that several of the corporations still involved have been silent on the issue.
What is their rationale? I mean, they banned it on animals. Why are they trying it out now?
A significant reason, actually, is that executing people, the death penalty in the United States is still is very controversial. There are certain states that allow it. There are other states that don't. But many corporations have said, many pharmaceutical corporations in particular, have begun making it clear that they do not want to see their drugs used for executions. So that's made the drugs for lethal injection much more difficult for states to obtain and driven states like Alabama to explore alternative methods they can use to execute prisoners.
Would this be enough to maybe convince the state to suspend death sentences? That people don't want to see this, it sounds like?
I think that there's absolutely, it should, it should be a major concern to see that increasingly corporations don't want to be involved in this. They don't want to see their products attached to executions, and the communities are expressing that capital punishment is not the direction and is not the kind of accountability that they're looking for. We've unfortunately seen that Alabama has been very resistant to these messages. They've insisted on moving forward with this execution of Kenneth Smith, even though they've already previously attempted and failed to execute him as well. So this is really concerning, and I think it's something that the state absolutely should be taking notice of and listening to, as well as other states in the U.S.
Now, they have that 7 a.m. deadline for tomorrow morning. What happens if nothing happens before then?
If nothing happens, then they will proceed, presumably, with this execution protocol. We have not too many details about what that would actually look like. Alabama has been fairly secretive about this process, not least because there has been so much pushback and so many folks trying to put a wrench in the works, trying to slow this down, delay this, mentioning that this is, again, the first time that this kind of execution method would be used, and raising so many concerns about the potential harms that are being done, the suffering, the legal implications. So if no one else speaks up, if we aren't able to slow them down, then they will proceed with this. And I don't think anyone knows exactly what is going to happen. This is untested, this is experimental, and there are a number of risks that we can't be sure the state has accounted for.
Okay, Dana, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.